Phoenix goal, and of course, Setaguchi scored the goal for the
that puck almost goes in, it's still in!
They take this away from the LA Kings.
Now that's a goal. He took his helmet off. I'm not really sure why.
Joe Thornton dumped it in.
Watch this bounce. Pop off the net, off the crossbar, off the shoulder.
The game of hockey is hands down one of the most random, volatile professional sports in the world. At one point, you can be in the Stanley Cup Finals on top of the world, 4 wins away from winning the most prestigious trophy in the game. Because in a blink of an eye, you can be the first team in NHL history to go from the Stanley Cup Finals to the first team eliminated from contention the very next season. Which is why, because of this volatility, the Stanley Cup is arguably one of the hardest trophies to win in the world. How do you create a team with 2 of the 5 best players in the world, one of them being a godly generational talent, yet have seen no success? We thought we had the pieces to win, but nothing is working. What do you do? Do you trade those players and try a new direction? No, those players individually are not the issue. Do you focus on drafting and development? But what if your current players are in their prime and your franchise cannot afford to wait another 3 years? What do you do? Well, unfortunately, underperforming leads to coaches losing their job, as we have seen absurd turnarounds after a coach was let go. Like in 2018, as the St. Louis Blues would fire coach Mike Yeo after starting with an extremely disappointing 7-9-3 record, going from the bottom of the standings to finishing the season now under Craig Berube 38-19-6. On top of, going all the way to winning the Stanley Cup. And I'm sorry to say, coaches, because I do feel for ya, but especially after the 2019 Blues win, NHL coaches have never had less job stability in the history of the sport. And let's even take a look at this season, as the Montreal Canadiens would have the most disastrous start in franchise history. They would fire coach Dominique Ducharme and his 8-30-7 record. You heard that right, 8-30-7? A record that even had the goddamn Arizona Coyotes shaking in their boots. To hiring Martin St. Louis, who was in the middle of his season coaching children. And after St. Louis' arrival, their record has been 12-14-4. Now, obviously still not playoff contention, but there was an obvious and exponential shift that not only affects the team's success as a whole, but also to those players who are drastically underperforming. As a player like Cole Caulfield went from putting up 1 goal, yes, 1 goal, to hiring Martin St. Louis and putting up 17 goals, 30 points in 27 games. Meaning, before the firing, Cole was on pace for 3 goals, 22 points in an 82-game season. And after the introduction of St. Louis, my man in an 82-game season is on pace for 52 goals, 91 points. Absolutely absurd, as we are talking about a player who was a shell of his former self to being a Calder finalist and a top 5 scorer in the league, all because of a coaching change. And it doesn't even stop there, as the Vancouver Canucks this season have also seen what has to be one of the craziest turnarounds in league history. Because after a horrific start, the Vancouver Canucks under Travis Green had an 8-15-2 record. Nowhere near playoff contention, even with big contracts such as Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Connor Garland added. The Canucks analytically were a top 3 most improved teams from off-season moves after the firing of Travis Green. Now under Bruce, there it is, Boudreau. Also, stop that shit. It's cringe. The Canucks now, and get this, but they now have a 29-13-8 record. On this pace, the Canucks could have ended up with a 48-22-12 record. Now obviously this is theoretical, but this would have resulted in a 108-point season and a guaranteed playoff spot. That makes me sick. Screw it. Bruce, there it is. And just like Cole Caulfield, Elias Pettersson would go from the next two-way superstar to a shell of his former self, as Pettersson went from having 13 points in 26 games. Which, to be honest, is generous, considering if you watch those games, he was invisible. But this also means he was on a 41-point pace. However, under Boudreau, Pettersson has 21 goals, 43 points in his last 36 games, which equals a 48 goal pace, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I did take away several pointless games right after the Boudreau hiring, but it doesn't change the fact that changing the team dynamic from a coaching firing can make a team go from a lottery team to a top 5 team in the league. Because, let's be honest, the St. Louis Blues, Montreal Canadiens, Vancouver Canucks are all kind of cherry-picked examples of success. So what were to happen if we look at the last 17 coaches fired mid-season and we take a look at the teams before and after records? Also, I was aiming to do 20 coaches, but I removed cases such as interim coaches who only stayed for a short period of time and coaches who left for personal reasons. And well, the results are astonishing. Before the 17 teams fired the coaches, we had a collective record of 246 wins, 282 losses, and 77 OT losses. However, after they would fire the coaches mid-season, their records shockingly went to 355 wins, 248 losses, and 63 OT losses, which is just insane. Because we are again talking about teams who went from being in a lottery draft position to being playoff locks. And if I were to, theoretically put these stats in an 82 game format, this is a collective difference of a 33, 38, and 11 record to a 44, 30, and 8 record. Crazy. But the thing is, when a coach gets fired, it can be a very emotional situation. Because in many, if not most cases, players on a losing team do not dislike their current coach. Now, don't get me wrong, losing and underperforming leads to frustration and more negativity in the locker room, but most players aren't wishing their coach to be thrown to the gutters. And so when a coach does get fired, it without a doubt lights a fire under the asses of those players, which alone can create a drastic turnaround. Because many NHL players have said, our poor play led to a man losing their job. And so naturally, I was curious. So I decided to look at what happened the next season. Emotions are settled, and off-season has transpired. Can teams keep up that tempo? And well, here are the results. Compared to the post-mid-season firings, so the 355, 248, and 63 record, the next season went as followed. We would see a record of 328 wins, 192 losses, and 65 OT losses. And so if we were to put this into an 82 game format to easily cross-compare, it results in a 46, 27, and 9 record, which of course is an improvement on the fired season. And what has honestly just blown my mind during the creation of this video is how often NHL coaches get fired. Because it is often. And I mean often. Because again, the game of hockey is so random. It contains so many moving parts, so many variables. You can't just trade the team away to make actual improvements. It just doesn't work that way. So, unfortunately, that burden gets thrown on the coach. In fact, an SB Nation article in 2017 highlighted the fact that the NHL has more coach firings than any other major sport in North America. And after the 2019 St. Louis Cup win, that number has only gone up. And will probably continue to go up, as we have seen more teams bite the bullet and fire their coach in hopes of changing their team's dynamic.